up? It's your boy Leo Fade, and welcome to the Straight Faded Podcast. Tonight I got a special guest, and for me it's an honor to actually have him. He probably don't know, but he's one of the reasons to I did my podcast. Yeah. So, we got Megaman right here.
Well,
what's
up,
bro?
What's up, man? How you been, man? It's a Harbury thing. Finally, I get you on your podcast.
We got H in the house.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on, man. It's an honor, man. Dude, it's you're not the only one who said that. There's been a lot of people who started a podcast because of me, Felipe Esparza, George Perez, Martina Hooter from the Yo-Yo Podcast, and also, gotta give a shout out to Wordian Radio, Tony A, man.
Shout out Tony A.
Tony A and Let Me Know Pod. There's a lot of good podcasters coming out from Wilmington, and we're making our presence known. I think we're in the golden age of podcasts where, you know what, fuck, if he can do it, I can do it. And right now, Harbor area is making noise now. It's our time. Harbor area, it's our time now.
Yeah, it's our time for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I mean, I've just been getting out there. I've just been really busy. We just talked about earlier. I just got nominated as one of the best podcasts of, for 2022 of all of LA. The magazine, I'll give you some info on that. It will be out, I think, March 20th or March 22nd. But the only thing is, I don't know what rank they're going to put me at. So we'll just see like that. And hopefully maybe Wordian Radio's on there, talking again, 88 miles per hour, Profile Pod. There's a lot of good Latino podcasters out there just making havoc.
Well, first of all, congrats on that. Like top, 25 at least? That's a good number.
That's good just for LA,
Exactly,
I'm like LeBron James. I just want my fucking damn respect, man.
There you go, man. I'm letting you know here, like, you were one of my influencers. Because when I did my search, podcast, Let Me Know Podcast was one of the first ones. But you were like one of the list I saw, it was at least like top 10. You were in the top 10.
Oh, man.
So,
it's a grind. It's the hustle. I think we'll get started. What really wanted me to do a podcast. I was going through some rough times in my life. I was with someone and things didn't work out, and I was just listening to podcasts and podcasts. I always tell people podcasts saved my life. The reason why, I was going through some stuff. Me and my kids were living on the streets and everything and stuff, and trying to get my life back together. I was in those dark times. And the podcast at the time that was really motivating me to never give up was like Joe Rogan, Beto Duran, George Perez, Felipe Esparza, R.B. Marcus, Joey Coco Diaz, and everything. And I started like, man, once I got my life back together again, I loved it. And, I started listening to podcasts for a while, and it's like, you know what? I think I can do that.
How long you been doing podcasts?
4.5 years, almost 5 years now. But the reason how podcast started is because I used to go to all these comedy shows, go watch Felipe Esparza, Joey Coco Diaz, and George Perez and show love. And I remember when Joe Rogan invited George Perez on the Joe Rogan's podcast when Joe Rogan was living here in L.A., Joe Rogan planted that seed to George Perez, the comedian. He has his podcast is called GPS, George Perez Stories. He does with Cy DeGetti and XG. XG is the engineer for Tinfoil Hats and also one of the co-hosts for We Don't Smoke the Same on Be Real TV. He does with 3 Plates, but also Ease On, and I think they just did a podcast because of those guys. And I remember, if you guys don't believe me, you can look it up. George Perez Stories, episode 50, Megaman. I was the first fan guest they ever had. And to me, being on that podcast was an honor. I was high as fuck. Took me 4 hours. Took me 4 hours to get home. But it was cool. Then 2 weeks after, comedian Martin Rizzo, he had a podcast called Squad by the Bell. He does with his lady Stephanie. Comedian Martin Rizzo goes on tour with Felipe Esparza. Felipe Esparza has a podcast called What's Up Food Podcast. He does with Martin Rizzo and Rodrigo Torres. And pretty much in a way, he told me how to do it by Anchor and everything. And when I did, I was like, okay, maybe I can start a podcast and everything. So pretty much in a way, when I started doing the podcast, I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And I was asking people. People didn't want to help me out because you're on your own, because I didn't have that guidance.
Yeah.
I didn't put a trailer or this, whatever. I just threw it out there. And they show me love. They repost and everything, but it got worse because I was watching an episode of What's a Food Podcast, and Felipe Esparza, no fucking lie, he said, shouts to fucking Megaman, follow his new podcast, blah, blah, blah. And boom, like 3,200 like listens like in one episode. And it was just trash. My voice wasn't good. It sucked. And I kept on doing it. And I'll be honest with you, I was going to quit. It was too much. And my listeners, people unfollow me. Like, man, what am I going to do? How is people going to know me, not as Megaman, but as Steven Martinez? So what I try to do is do these episodes called The Megaman's Life. The Megaman's Life is a journey when I was little until now of the journey I've been through, about my crazy stories, what I had, and people love those. It's inspiration stories of never giving up. And also, the reason why I named it the Megaman Podcast, because that's my favorite video game. But back in the day, my cousin Steven Gomez, he passed away when I was like 14 or 15. Yeah, he was living in Montana. He was going to church, and he overslept, driving, and a gas diesel truck hit him face on, and he died instantly. And the reason why I want to dedicate the Megaman Podcast to him, because my cousin Steven Gomez was the first person on the block in Widmas to have a Nintendo. If he didn't have a Nintendo back then, it was new, but it was really expensive. And I remember he bought his Nintendo at the Delama Mall. Back in the day, there used to be a Mervyn's, there used to be a Toys R Us right across from Delama Mall, and he was the first one to have. So when he came, he was like, "Oh, I got all these games." Long lines of kids around the neighborhood would play, but he would charge them $3 or $5 to play for 10 minutes. He was a hustling. And so the families were the last ones to play, and my cousin Steven, he said, "Hey, what game you want to play?" He used to call me Little Steven because I was just a troublemaker. So it was like, I don't know, surprised me. So I got this game I rented called the Megaman 2. I was like, well, I never played that. And I started playing it. I fell in love with it, and that will forever be the day where my life would change, where my mom bought me Nintendo, bought me all the regular Nintendo games, and I had Double Dragon, Bad Dudes, Mega Man, all the Mega Mans 2, 1, and everything. And that's one of the reasons why I named it the Megaman Podcast. I know it's a little catchy name, but I wanted to dedicate the name to my cousin Steven Gomez so his legacy and his memories can still live on. So when I post any Mega Mans of a little Mega Man toy or a little cartoon, that's my cousin Steven right there looking down on me, protecting me, and say, "Hey, you're going to fucking do it. You're going to make it. And just keep on doing what you're doing."
And that's dope, because I like motivation to keep you going, and you got something like an image, a figure, or something like you could portray, or something you could keep on pushing for. But I was going to ask you, though, how do you get away with the name The Mega Man on Spotify and all that?
Because I don't put to me, the Mega Man's Podcast, but, for the copyright and everything, I don't put the Mega Man, the game, like the figure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because my lady looked into it, say, you can get that name. They're not going to sue you or anything for Capcom and all that. So that's where it finally just got approved. But my Mega Man is going to be a little different. I have a little designs and stuff like that. So I was kind of more like, it was a major relief because, Nintendo and Capcom, they don't fuck around.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because they're big companies, and then knowing how social media is now, like, they're all strict.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised these two have that name, though. Like, how you get away with it?
Yeah, well, I can post Mega Man, like, the cartoons and everything on Instagram, whatever, but when it comes to the podcast name and logo, I'm changing my logo around, but it's going to be this microphone, maybe a face to me or this, whatever, but there's always going to be loopholes always going around, which you kind of more like, you got to really watch what you put, for trademark reasons and stuff like that. So I'm trying to be more not on that side. I'm going to do my own thing and stuff. So I have some people in the works that I'm going to have some designs and take it to the next level, because there's a lot of things going to be happening next year, getting the YouTube, the Spotify, the merch, just a lot of content I'm going to be getting out there. I'm going to be traveling, touring in Texas, in the East Coast, and I might be taking a podcast invasion going to the UK. Oh, the UK, man. There's a lot of podcasts out there. So right now, there's close to maybe about 2.6 or 2.3 million podcasts around the world. and you never know who's going to be hearing. So instead of them having me on Zooms, I'm saving money to take like a month off of work and going on a UK, going invasion, going to Scotland, Dublin, and all. And maybe down the road, maybe go to Australia, because I have a lot of fan base over there in Australia and South Africa.
That's a network, right?
You got a network, man. So that's why people are like, how did this Megaman podcast blow up? And I know I live in Long Beach, but I represent the Harbor area, man. The Harbor area. This is one of the reasons, the motivation, inspiration. Harbor area, Woodmas molded me to be who I am, and never giving up. You have a chip on the shoulder, tough, from hard times like this. I'm just getting out there. And I just want to say this, there's been a lot of people out there always bashing on the Harbor area people. They're always bashing on Wilmington people and stuff, people who are out there. And I'm going to tell you something. We're causing noise. Wilmington's coming up. There's a lot of good people coming out of Wilmington and the Harbor area. We're coming. We're fucking coming.
And I don't think they're ready either.
They ain't ready.
They ain't ready.
They ain't ready.
I feel it and I see it, like from everything, like even from music artists to podcasters to local vendors to food vendors. Everybody's making noise out there.
Musicians, podcasts, and all. And I want to say this. I work so hard because, when I'm not here on Earth, I really want to give back to the city of Wilmington. It's a long story, but it's pretty much I just want to do whatever I can because my heart will always be in Wilmington, and I always want to be remembered, like who came out of Wilmington, like Little Faded, Rhodium Radio, Martin Moreno, the Megaman's Podcast, Let Me Know Pod, like Spanish Fly, Johnny D, Not Your Granny's, like the list goes on and on. Joey's Barbecue, Montoya's right there, like we got history, and we're gonna be known, and I'm just gonna do the best I can to represent the Harbor area, represent Long Beach, represent Wilmington, but also represent the West Coast and all over the world who fucks with us,
And big shout out to everybody he just mentioned. Like that's real talk, like straight up, like top. The HA, we're coming.
We're coming, and that's the thing where I get out there. I mean, I'm gonna have Concrete on the podcast, of Commitment Soldier from Foods Gone Wild, Slick Vic, Willie from Influence Error. I'm gonna get you on. I mean, I had Johnny D, I had Not Your Granny's Cookies, I had Rhodium Radio. I mean, I'm gonna do whatever I can to bring the best guests Megaman has to offer. And back in the day, it used to be quality over quantity. Things have changed now where it's very selective. Because I know I get a lot of DMs like, "Hey, I want to come on your podcast," but I just want to say the Megaman Podcast is invitation only, and I want it to be quality over quantity. So I'm very selective of who comes on my podcast because you got to build relationships with these people. And, meeting, I'm going to have Big Citric on the podcast.
Shout out Big Citric.
He's funny, dude.
That's a lot, man, that's like one of the humblest person I ever met. We used to be in a group, Latin Nation. Big Citric's dope.
Yeah, I had Guttagon from Carson. I would love to have Brian Ortega from the UFC. I'm going to tell you, 4 people, when I started the Megaman's Podcast, 4 major people made my podcast who it is. You know who was my first celebrity guest I ever had?
And I was gonna ask you that was one of the questions.
Tony the Wizard from Radio. He was my first celebrity guest. I had him on the podcast, and it was 4 years ago, and he was already finishing up the Rhodium documentary. I didn't know he was gonna do a podcast. He was only gonna do 8 or 9 episodes, and he just blew up.
Look at it now.
Look at it closely. And my second guest I had was Tanya Estrada. She's a comedian. She's like the Renaissance woman. She can just do it all. She's out there grinding. I had the Hood Footy. He's blowing up. And I had a legend, a harbor legend, probably one of the pioneers of Chicano rap. I had MC Pancho. I love that guy.
How'd that go?
He's a good guy. He came over at my house. I have pictures. I'll tell you off air. Yeah. But he was the most coolest guy, man. And that's Harbor area right there. And when his father heard the stories of the rivalry with San Pedro and Wilmington, his father was one of the ones to have the peace with Wilmington and San Pedro. And it was an honor to have MC Pancho. He's a humble guy, good guy. I can care less what people say about him. I love that guy. It was an honor to have him. I got goosebumps. I got nervous. I was like, oh, fuck, dude.
You were like starstruck?
Yeah. Actually, you know who I was really, really starstruck? I'll be honest, and he's probably going to watch this. Martin Moreno from Widmas. Yeah. Because, a comedian coming out of Wilmington, and going on tour with Fluffy, then now he has a podcast, and hearing his story, because I didn't know who Martin Moreno until he was on the George Perez stories with him and Hooter, his son Hooter Moreno. Crazy ass story, but when I heard his actual story was on Felipe Esparza, and he just fucking blew up, man. And he was one of the reasons I wanted to start a podcast as well. And he knows. He looks at my stuff. I'm hustling. He's like, fuck, he's getting out there and stuff. And there's one thing about me, Little Faded, you should know. I don't talk about it. I be about it. Because when people tell me, oh, you're never going to make it, like that Dewey Cox movie, you're never going to fucking make it, I always outprove people wrong. And those critics, those haters, they're like crickets. I don't hear anything what they say. I just keep on going because there's people out there who talk the talk and they don't walk the walk. I like to do my walking, then I like to do my talking. So whatever I post, I'm out there. And hopefully that can be, not to rub in people's faces, but to me, to inspire the next generations of Latino podcasters. And also, I put an episode out, I think it's episode 226, So You Want to Be a Podcaster. All the information on that episode, I laid down the blueprint of like you're starting a podcast, and a lot of people. The reason why I wanted to put that episode out, because I want them to be mentally prepared to get out there. Because if you're going to deal with criticisms of this, how do you deal with this, how you deal with that, I want them to be really motivated, because we're coming. The new generation of podcasters, they're coming. And I'm going to tell you, man, podcast right now is getting oversaturated. But if you keep on grinding, you keep on doing what you're doing, you're not worried about this, you're not worried about that. You're like that horse with those blind visions. Yeah. Just focus on that, and you're going to do good. Just keep on grinding, keep on hustling. I see you just started, but you're getting the who's, but you're slowly doing it, and just do it like that. And it's kind of like, to be honest, stay in your lane. Don't worry about the drama here, there. Just keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah, speaking about haters, I was going to ask you how you handle the social media hate. But before that, I was going to throw that to the haters. You got about, 232 episodes. So you're still grinding.
Oh, no. 232. But on the Megaman's podcast right now, I'm at almost 500 episodes.
There you go, so, 500 episodes.
But that's only for the Megaman's podcast. But you're not including I'm not including the Megaman After Darks and guest appearances.
So you got other stuff going on.
So right now, I'm altogether, I count, because I keep counting and keep numbers. I'm actually altogether, if you have guest appearances, Megaman After Darks, lives on Instagram, because those could be podcast episodes, and my Megaman's podcast, I'm actually at 902.
Episode?
Altogether.
Jeez.
902 episodes. Again, 902 episodes. And by the way, you're fucking welcome.
And you can't hate on that.
You can't hate on that. I put the grind in. You can't. You got to keep on going. You got to keep on putting more episodes, because you're going to get better and better. Your weaknesses, this, whatever. Every time I do an error on a podcast, whatever, I go back home, I write my list, my weak points, I got to work on this, and my strong points. I study every day. It's a grind 24/7. I work overnights, working 60, 50 hours a week. I'm a family guy. I'm a full-time podcaster. So I'm always around how to make my podcast better, how to get out there, how to do this, how to do that. It's the everyday grind. I'm learning something new every day. If it's podcast stuff here or social media or this, I'm going to get out there. If I win followers, cool. If I lose followers, I keep on going. But how to deal with haters, in the beginning, I couldn't deal with it. I would lose sleep. But when you have thick skin, what they're doing is, when they're hating on me, you're giving me an extra Gatorade bottle to drink. Hell, thank you. I needed this. So I like that. To me, I don't want to say I like hate or drama and all. But when people always say, people like, oh, ignore it. I use that as ammunition. I use that as fuel to be like, you know what? Fuck that. If that person says I'm not going to make it, I'm going to get out there and do fucking 6 podcast episodes, get this guest and all that. And that's it. I think the most episodes I ever did in 1 week was 23.
Damn, that's a lot.
23 episodes.
Know how you did that.
I was on vacation for 2 weeks, and I was on a grind. There was a time I did 9 episodes in one day.
Oh, my bad to interrupt you, but I don't know if you guys caught it. He said he was on vacation and on the grind.
On the grind. For 2 weeks, I was like, I'm going to do it. And I was just getting out there. And I started doing podcasts at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was not done till 3 a.m. I remember it was on a fucking Tuesday.
Yeah, like a lot of people don't know all the behind the scenes, especially when we were talking about earlier that you all independent.
Mm-hmm.
All the back work.
Yeah.
All the hours, your time.
Yeah. And when you have major people that you bring on, they're gonna test you to see how much are you legit or not. And a lot of people, they're like, "Fuck, man, you're on another level." There's levels to podcasts, and to me, there's always levels. When you get out there and you start meeting major people, you're gonna know what's up. I'm trying to get Freddie Gibbs on the podcast.
The rapper?
Yeah, on the record. I'm trying to get him on. There's a lot of people I can't really mention. I'll tell you off here. You'll be shocked, but that's the dedication and grind to get out there and talk to the managers, DM, whatever you got to do. You got to bring the who's. There might be some fallouts, with some that, hey, if you want me on your podcast, Megaman, you gotta pay me. You gotta pay me $5,000.
I already got those already.
I got those too, and I was like, "Fuck you," because they want the money, and they're probably gonna give you a shitty ass episode.
And they won't promote it. I bet you.
Exactly.
They won't promote it.
That's why you just get people who you have a relationship and who you already know, and
who are motivated too, cause
you're
a pusher. I'm saying like you're a good pusher.
Good pusher, and that's the thing where it's like I'm pushing. And some celebrities, some people be like, "Hey, Megaman, can you calm down with the tags? Can you calm down with the promotion?" Well, if you're saying like that, so I'm doing whatever I can for you to get out there. I'm doing my part. So maybe they don't have that hustle mentality how I have it, but I'm doing the best I can promoting that episode who I have on maybe 6 or 7 times a day, and for the next 2 weeks, I'm promoting that motherfucker like 7 times what? 7? That's 49. I'm probably doing what? I'm promoting that guy maybe 100 times for the next 2 weeks, all the time for you to get out there.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do. But for some of these Latino podcasters, there's levels. Get out there, push, promote, get the who's. Don't talk shit about crabs in a bucket. I hate that shit. You ever had that crabs in a bucket mentality?
Yeah, nah.
Fuck all that crap, man. That's why I just do my own thing,
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, just your own hustle. Because at the end of the day, like you said, like, you're doing your own thing, and then you get those haters hating. I'm like, why?
Fuck all them, dude.
It doesn't make sense at the end of the day. Because you're doing your own work.
Yeah.
And at the end, you want to do it, you could go ahead and do it.
Yeah. And then, and also I want to say, there's this thing where, I don't know if you follow Gil from American Cholos podcast. No, he's doing, he's having a meeting. I think it's on May 21st, the 23rd, I think. He's bringing all these influencer, Latino podcasters, celebrities here, whatever, and go meet up in a meeting where we can talk about how can we bring Raza to form this unity instead of people hating on each other or this, whatever.
Well, let me ask you that. How do you think we could bring the Raza together?
I'll be honest, and I know Gil said that, and I thought about it too. For us to be together, first we have to respect ourselves. If we don't respect ourselves, then there'll be no unity. Sometimes in a way I might hate this motherfucker for what he did in the past, but sometimes past is the past, But I think with our people, we're so into that cheeseman world. We're so into that like pride, like fuck, he did me wrong. Fuck you. If he's doing good, I'm gonna make him look stupid or make him look bad. And come on, man. Like if we have differences, cool, but you don't have to hate on each other. If things didn't work out, cool, whatever. We move on. Hey, whatever. But some people just want to hold grudges. To me, I used to be that guy. Can't be that no more because now I'm 41. I got to just move on, Whatever happened the past with us, that's the past. But, you got to move forward. So now my podcast is not about me anymore. It's about the people. It's about my guests. I want to do whatever I can to stop this hate with each other and these crabs in a bucket mentality and just, like, be unity. But till then, the fight continues.
I was going to ask you, what was your first episode about?
About what?
Your first episode ever, what was it about, like the topic?
My first episode, well, like back in the day, it was like some sex stories and shit, like friends with benefits. But I'm more of an open book. Whatever was on my mind, I just do solo talks or speak freely. And, I say what I want to say. I can't go back and say, hey, I regret doing this. I kept it 100. I kept it real. And that's where a lot of podcasters, they're very hesitant to bring me on because they want me to be filtered. They want me, you can't say this, can't say that because that person might be my friend. It's like, no, fuck that. I'm gonna keep it 100. Like it is what it is, and that's why a lot of people say, oh shit, if you get Megaman on your podcast, he is a wild card. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, and then that's why I brought you in because of the same reason. Then because you were like influencing my podcast and all that too.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, like it is like it happens like that sometimes,
Yeah, but that's the thing. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, but I just keep it real, and that's where a lot of people are just changing. Well, I kind of regret saying this or this, whatever. Like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, I like the no filter type of shit. So that's why I did my own podcast too, because there's some shit that I like to say that people don't like,
Yeah.
So there's like no type of filter. That's why I'm.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it 100. I mean, if it's gonna hurt people's feelings, it is what it is.
And that's you at the end of the day. That's like how you feel. That's what you been through. You're allowed to feel however you feel.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's like this. You can't be hypocritical. If like I try to stay in my lane, but when you have other people already bashing on you, I'm like, but look what's going on. The whole world's bashing on Joe Rogan because saying like, oh, he's doing this, he's doing that. I'm being me for who I am, and if people hate on me, well, fuck it. I can care less.
You can't please everybody.
Because I'm not worried about them. They're worried about me.
Exactly.
Because I'm on their mind 24/7. Where I'm sleeping like a peaceful little baby, there's people out there probably staying awake 2 o'clock in the morning, socking the walls in the air like the movie Boys in the Hood, be like, fuck, this guy's always fucking winning. There's nothing you can do about it. I even have fucking haters who are always hating on my podcast. Those haters turn to be one of my biggest fans.
Well, let me tell you, like I wasn't a hater, but the first time I heard about your podcast and all that, was about beer tasting and all that. I don't know if you were into that. Or
yeah, I was. Oh, that's a good question. I wanted to understand about craft beers and stuff. So back then, I wanted to bring 50 people in the craft beer community to understand the beer scenes when it comes to influencers, people working the breweries, Instagram, just anything on. And it made me understand about craft beers, how it's made and stuff. And I know there's some people out there that don't like me for who I am because I saw what was behind the curtain on a lot of these influencers or these craft beer people. And the thing is, I learned not to be too close with a lot of these people because, like, there's a craft beer community. There's a podcast community. There's music community. Everyone has their alliances and everyone has their cliques. And that's when I knew it's like there's too many cliques, and that's where jealousy and envy comes into play. But I didn't give a care about all that stuff. I care about how the beer was made and how many hops and this. I understand. I just knowing what I know now, I can still do beer talks here, whatever. But I wanted to parted ways because the craft beer community got turned upside down with a lot of backlash. What was going on. And some of the people that didn't want me to be in that community because I knew too much was going on and I hanged around with certain people that I didn't like or whatever. But to me, at the time, I was one of the first, podcasters of the Harbor area. I wanted to understand a lot was going on. And to me, there was a situation in the craft beer community turned everything upside down where people were just bashing on each other, picking sides, craft beer wars and all this and all. And there was a page called Rat Magnet, a lot of these women's stories, what was going on in the craft beer community. And that's where people were taking sides and finding a way to like, oh, I heard stories about this person and all. And there was even allegations about me as well, like going to these craft beer events and all. But to me, it's like I was pretty much mentally just drained. I don't want to be in that lifestyle no more because they were just haters, and all that stuff. So I kind of like did a video. I don't care about these craft beer politics or this, whatever. I just want to drink beers and have and talk shit with the guys and like whatever. But they just got too much of being more sensitive wham-whams and the whole cancel culture shit and all that crap. But
how do you feel about that?
Oh, fuck all that shit, man. That's for softies. I like to call those soybean people and shit. They're softies. They're wham-whams and shit. When that stuff was going on with the Black Lives Matter, then Trump and all that stuff, and if people were like, oh, I voted for Trump, oh, they'll come at you. It's like, it's all about Biden. Well, look what's going on. People, you wanted Biden to be our president? Look what's going on. Gas prices, the war, everything's going up. So the people who voted for Biden, you just fucked yourself.
Everybody.
Everyone. So, yeah. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to part ways and do my own thing, because I had ideas. But I burned some bridges. But I saw them for who they really were, and I didn't want them on the podcast. So now I still drink beers and craft beers, and I still have my following still, but I'm very selective of any craft beer people that come on the podcast, which I might bring maybe 2 people on the podcast this year. But if I bring them on, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny. Why are you doing this? Oh, I heard Megaman's a misogynist. I heard Megaman's a narcissist and all this crap, whatever. Those are the haters that make fake Instagram accounts and say that shit, but they're not woman enough, they're not man enough to say that shit to my motherfucking face. Because when I go to these breweries, they look at me, but they don't say shit. They just walk away. But they post, oh, look what Megaman, they tag.
There's a lot of people
bunch of pussies. They're pussies.
A lot of people like that on social media.
Pussies.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's pussies like that. I had trolls who want to hit me up like, hey, let's go meet up. I'm right here. Here's my address. Let's go meet up right now. What's up? Be here at this certain time. They never showed up. They're haters. But to me, it is what it is. You learn from your mistakes. You learn what you know. But I'm not gonna apologize and say, "Oh, I fucked up." No, fuck that, dude. I kept it 100. There's a lot of fake fuckeries out there.
A lot.
Too many, and that's why I don't want to be around that. So, when I was going through all that shit last year with the craft beers and some of the Latino podcasters and a lot of personal things that was going on in my life, I was in a crossroad where it's like, man, I this is too much, and also my health, my relationship. I was with someone and she wanted me to choose her over the podcast. In a way, she wanted me to quit the podcast.
How you handle that, if you don't mind me asking? So that's really...
I dumped her. I saved the podcast. I had to, because I thought to myself, what's making me happy? Is she making me happy, or is the podcast making me happy? And this is a dedication that you have to do. So I dumped my ex to save the podcast. I know I have a son with her, but I had to save it. And to me, it was a huge monkey off my back. So once I saved the podcast, it was a relief. I was gathering my followers and making more connections, and things came out good. And I wasn't looking for a relationship, and I met someone, and her following and my following, we kind of knew a lot of the major people, and we got together, and we were together ever since, and we take it one day at a time, and she's the best thing that came to my life, and I don't want to mention her name, but she knows who she is. I want to keep it very private, but we're out there, but it's good. It's really good, and to be honest, for 2022, my main goal is to really stay in my lane and bring good people that's going to make a difference in the community, but also with you and I, but also be an inspiration, because right now we're living in hard times.
Yeah,
and people I kind of know, I mean, I lost over close to 25, 26 people from COVID or suicide. I'll say this, one of my good friends committed suicide jumping off the Long Beach Bridge, and or some people jumping off the Green Tower, Thomas Bridge and all. And it was pretty sad to see all these people die and whatever, because maybe they lost their job or this or grief or whatever. And I want to do whatever I can to be an inspiration to them to never give up, If it's funny videos, funny pictures, quotes, anyone, I just want to do the best I can just to make people, I just want to see people happy.
How do you get all this motivation? Because you feel like you go through a lot of shit, but you're still motivated to give that positive,
Well, because I was homeless, I was going through a lot of hardships. I was living at one time when me and my kids were homeless. We're living in the streets. We're living in tents, public bathrooms, public storages, rats would bite us, shelters, anything. It was just going through a lot of hardships for the past couple months. We're living in our car and everything. And that's one of the motivations to never give up. Because my deepest fear, if someone say, hey, Megaman, what's your deepest fear? Is being homeless. Because time goes by slow. It feels like 1 hour, it feels like a year. and I never want to be in that stage ever again. So that's why I have the motivation to never give up. I know how it is to hit rock bottom. When I saw that movie with Will Smith, Pursuit of Happiness, I feel like that was a good. I feel like not his whole life was about, but being homeless, living in hotels, bathrooms, and all, in buses and all. I was like that with my kids. And so the motivation I got because of hitting rock bottom, but getting your life back together again, the podcast motivation, the people, just anything. Wilmington, Wilmington to me toughened me up for times like this. So that's why I keep on going. Sometimes I might have a mental drain. It's like, man, I don't know about doing this fucking episode. Steven, don't stop it. Stop it. You can't be like that. And every time I feel like don't want to do a podcast with this guest, whatever, it turns out to be probably one of the best episodes ever.
You never know, you would have not done it.
Exactly. Right? That's what you just got to do. You just got to keep on doing it. When times get hard, fuck all that shit. Just keep on doing it. Keep on grinding. And it's going to inspire you. It's going to inspire anyone. I just want to see all of us fucking win, instead of us holding each other down,
Speaking of that, like, we got to start... everyone from Wilmington, we gotta get together and build that super team. And
it's coming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we gotta get on it.
Wilmington.
So like you said, like me, I graduated from Banning 07.
I wanted to go to Banning so high.
You see, but like me, everything I am for today, like what I'm saying, it came from Banning. Everything I learned from Banning, everything from schools to like growing up in the hood, todo,
I know, because I used to live in Ghost Town. I used to live right there on Blinn and Ruby Dock. Right there by Blinn and PCH and all.
Yeah.
I live over there. Back in the day, that was the craziest fucking area in Wilmington. No cops, nothing. I saw sex predators kidnapping women and children, raping them and dropping them on the fucking bridge. There's stories about that right there, going to the bridge, like going to the Banny Park, like right there. Shootings. Just crazy times. A lot of people don't know this, Freeway Ricky, he was selling his drugs to the ghost towns and all that stuff, not knowing all those people there was long lines of people buying drugs like in and out, like Martin Moreno said. A lot of those people are, Freeway Ricky and drug pushers are pushing all that money to fund what was going on in Nicaragua. With the contraband and all that stuff, with the guns, because communists was spreading. So they're hitting all the South Central, all the urban areas and stuff like that. That's why Wilmington was so fucking bad until they had to have a junction and start raiding all those places and, putting people in jail and prison or just transferring them, whatever. And that's where a lot of people were just moving out of Wilmington. It was really fucking bad.
Like, I don't know. How do you feel about nowadays? Do you think it's worse or is it better?
It calmed down. It really, really calmed down. If you were living in Wilmington back in the 80s and early 90s and you're here, you were fucking lucky because people were getting killed left and right. Yeah. As always, I heard stories of what was going on in the harbor area, all these urban legend stories or killings and stuff. I remember Tony A. the Wizard, he talked about it on a podcast of mine that, Wilmington people, the gangsters, gang members, they didn't have guns. So what they would do, if they wanted to kill a person, they would lay that person who they want to kill on the ground and have a hydraulic and smash his fucking head.
Damn.
That's how it was. Beating up, stabs and all that stuff. You couldn't go to any areas. For me, I was forbidden to go to Ghost Town. A lot of people don't know, like, I can't go because that's where the Filipinos, the blacks, all that was going on. And do you ever heard the story? It's kind of fucked up. It's racist, but it's fucked up of how they got the name Ghost Town. You ever know about that?
No.
The reason why they call it Ghost Town, and I'm just this is what's going on. The reason why they call it Ghost Town because the city would turn off all their lights because they were trying to, they make it all pitch black. So when you would drive, you would only see the eyes of the black people. That's fucked up.
Damn.
Yeah, you only see their eyes. That's why they call it Ghost Town, and everything. Because the city was an asshole. And the thing is, the second thing about it, you ever notice that we don't have a mayor or a council or a police department, a fire department? They have to call from Carson and San Pedro and all that. Wilmington, people think Wilmington is a city. It's not a city. It's owned by LA County. So any revenue that comes into Wilmington, the LA County takes that money.
Yeah, I feel like Wilmington just hidden between refineries.
Yeah.
Or another city.
Yeah.
And then
we're stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
That's why people just come and go. There's nothing good. People say, "Oh, there's nothing good."
Man, that's fucked up because we're the heart of the Harvard.
Exactly.
We're not even acknowledged like that.
That's how it is. There's always a bad rep. They always bash on Wilmington. And to me, I'm just tired of people bashing. But now we're coming up, and now I feel like the Harbor area is coming together. Consider maybe kind of Long Beach, but you got San Pedro, you got Carson, you got Torrance, and you got Wilmington. You got we're all coming, and I want to say I'm proud to be from Wilmington. God bless Widmas.
You're
yeah, it's always so. There's always good people coming out, and I just want to do whatever I can to bring good people from the Harbor area on the Megaman's podcast.
I saw your How do you get all those people? Like you got the people you interview?
Mm-hmm.
No, but they're big names. They're like names that.
Yeah, big or I do my homework, and I always say something about her, something about him. They're gonna come up, and everyone that came on the podcast just blew up. I don't know what, but I do my homework. You build relationships, you build connections, and you support and all that stuff, and there's a lot of there's a inspiration. I know Gutta Gone. He's a rapper from Carson, and he's coming up. And there's a song he had, and in the video is Brian Ortega socking the punching bag from the USC, and he has a song called "We Ain't Built Like This," and it gets me all pumped up, man. It's like, hey, Harbor area, we're coming, or fresh off parole, and some of these people that are coming up, when you have Roaring Radio and you have all these major people coming off from around the United States to Wilmington, you fucking made it. They're like, oh, check out this place, check out this. I remember there was they were doing a show, and that's how we met. I was at the time I was with my ex lady, and it's like, oh shit, you're Maze Mega Man. It's like, yeah, because we follow, and like, oh hell yeah. I was just trying to check it out because I wanted to see what was going on. And
same, that's what I did. That's what I put up.
Yeah, and I just want to represent. And there's people like, is that Mega Man? It's like, yeah. It's like, oh shit. And that people don't know. It's like, are you really from Wilmington? It's like, yeah, let him rip it out, Kobe, right there. My grandpa still lives over there. He lives on Blinn. I used to live on Blinn, Ribby Dock, but my grandpa's house, he's still there. He's almost like 100, and his house is still there. His house is one of the nicest houses on Blinn Avenue, and all that. And I like to go there because I work in San Pedro, but I like to go when I go back home to Long Beach. I still go to drive to certain areas because I like to reminisce of the good old days.
Yeah, I do that. I still around like where the block where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
I just be driving sometimes, just to get that feeling again.
You need that.
Cause I got out from where I used to live. I used to live by the projects. Back in the 90s and 80s, you remember the project by Hawaiian Elementary?
Oh.
So back then they were projects. Now they look like complex, or they look like apartments now.
Yeah.
They don't look that bad.
Yeah, I was driving over here, and I used to go to Foster Freeze, but they tore it down. They moved it. But across the street, where it's all abandoned now, that used to be a Pioneer's Chicken.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was like, you're from Widmas, you remember Pioneer's Chicken, and that was Assurance, and now they tore it down. But where the Red West Pizza is, there used to be a video store. We used to rent all our games there. If you couldn't afford no games at Toys R Us and everything, you could rent them. That's why my cousin was renting the Mega Man 2, River City Ransom, and all.
The Blockbuster?
No. Where the Red West, there used to be like a little Chinese, Vietnamese video place. And we used to rent the games there. And after that, we would just go to Foster Freeze, or we would go to that Chinese shop. I know there's a Northgate Market, but across the street, there's a Chinese little to-go restaurant. And when I used to get food, but sometimes my mom would be like, okay, we're going to get you a haircut. If you're from Wilmington and you got your haircut at John's Barbershop, that's what's up. But now it's an eyebrow they do. But yeah, I used to get my haircut there at John's Barbershop. That's one of the oldest barbershops of all of Wilmington. But I think he retired and all that stuff. And it was the good old days in Wilmington. Like watching a football game, Banny against Carson High, like all that, going to Avalon, going to all these places to go weed and this. It was that was our Friday night back in the day.
Oh, then as you told watching, I think like 2 weeks ago you did an episode. You were talking about the struggle about being in the streets, like how you dealt with it, like how you.
It's no joke.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure you got fucked up in the head mentally.
Yeah.
How will you do it? Like, will you work on your podcast while doing that? Like, how will you manage all that?
So when I put the episode out, being homeless, I wasn't doing podcasts. I was just trying to survive. So when I went through all that stuff, that's where I feel like I wanted to do a podcast because, again, podcast saved my life. And that's when it's like, I want to do a podcast and talk about my struggles and also bring good people on the podcast and everything and stuff. And so, people can understand my journey and stuff like that because I know there's people out there who are probably having it hard.
Yeah.
And I always tell people never give up. I even get people, Little Faded, who they DM me and say, Megan, man, I'm going to commit suicide. I don't know, there's nothing going on and stuff. And, I want to be honest, you never know who's going to be hearing or watching. I always tell them, never give up and everything. I'll tell you a quick story, if you have time still.
Yeah.
The Yo-Yo podcast with Martina and Hooter, I was always been a huge fan. I still am, but I just been too busy. I haven't heard some of their episodes, been too busy. This person, I like to name anonymous because he's very private. He was listening to the Yo-Yo podcast with Martina and Hooter, and he's like, let me go check out the Megaman's podcast. He checked out the Megaman's podcast. He DM'd me and said, hey, which episode should I listen? It's like, if you really want to understand me, check out the Megaman's life. Hear all the episodes and tell me what you think, He started hearing all the episodes. He benched hearing for like 2 days. He DM'd me and said, hey, Megaman, I thought my life was fucked up. He's like, you know what? Just by hearing your episodes is inspiration. His wife died of cancer. The year after, his daughter died of a hit and run, never found the person. Damn. He lost his wife from cancer and his daughter in 1.5 years. He was going to commit suicide. I always DM him, everything's going to be okay, you're going to do good and all that stuff. Just hang in there. Just always, because he was going through anxiety, depression, and going through a lot of grief. And he's like, he got his life back together again. He found a lady. They have kids, a boy and a girl, twins and stuff. And from time to time, he's like, hey, Megan, man, yeah, that was a good episode. Hey, Megan, man, you inspired me, man. I just want to cheer him up. So, I mean, he's doing good, and podcast to him saved his life and got his life back in order. And that's what I want to do. I just want to cheer people up, Even if I be a guest on Joe Rogan's podcast or I get big, whatever, I still be myself. I still be humble because I care. And that's where I see who has the it factor. Concrete. That guy has the fucking it factor. Whatever he touches, it just blossoms. Whoever he's with, people show love because he's doing it. He's getting out there. And that's like, to me, when you have a lot of people in the industry and podcasts, entertainment, and this, whatever, it's like, oh shit, that person's winning. Oh, that person's winning. That motivates you to get out there. And like how you said earlier, like, man, you're my inspiration. I started doing a podcast because of you. And now, when they hear this episode, there's going to be another person who's going to start a podcast. Like, man, I heard that episode with Little Fade and Megaman. Now I want to be a podcaster. So we're helping the next generations of other podcasters or any person watching to get out there,
Yeah, and I'm glad we're on the same page because the same thing you're doing, that's what I'm trying to do,
You're doing it.
Your voice out there, my voice out there.
You got to get out there, man.
Like you said, we got to get out there.
You got to get out there, and it's a grind. But if you keep on pushing, just get out there. You're going to make it, man. I'm going to make it. You're going to make it. We're all going to do it. And maybe in 10 years, Wilmington's going to be all fucking like, fuck, dude. He's like, where you from? Whitmas.
Yeah, because I went to Venice Beach. They're like, where you guys from? The crowd was asking.
Yeah.
I was like, Wilmington. Then some guy was like, Compton. I was like, nah, Wilmington,
Yeah. I always say, Whitmas.
Yeah, and then some other food was like, Wilma's food. Like, he pretty much checked his food. Like, he knows what's up.
Yeah. That's the always thing, When Martin Moreno, we talked about his crazy story on Rodeo Radio and stuff. He talked about Wilmington. Like, back in the day, I didn't know there was a tuna can factory where, the end of Avalon?
Yeah.
That used to be, there used to be a lot of factories there for cannings and all that stuff, but they don't have it no more. Talk about the stories and stuff and everything. And going to Isaac Burritos. I still think that's expensive burrito. For like $20 a burrito. Like, goddamn, you would put some Viagra's in that shit. But I remember, this is like good places to go eat. But just hearing the stories. And in the end, when he said best of luck to Morning Radio and all that. And I just want to say this. God bless Whitmas. When he said that, I started crying. It made me feel like, fuck, I got to represent Wilmington to the fullest. Just by me talking about that gets me emotional.
Yeah, it's inspiring. It's like where we come from. It's like we want our people to shine. We want our people to get out there. We want to feel good. Like we feel good. Like we're doing something for our community.
Doesn't make you proud?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when you say the word, when you look at we're in Wilmington, that makes me proud.
Yeah,
you know, you got to represent Wilmington. If people say you're never going to make it, fuck them, dude. That's why I want to be an inspiration to you and to everyone else who live in the Harbor area in Wilmington. Fuck it, Rhodium, if Megaman, if Little Faded, if this person can do it, and Martin Moreno, if they can do it, and they came out of Woodmas, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Go follow your dreams, dude. Just don't be stuck like working at the fineries and this. If you have a dream, get out there and go get it. If you want to go to college to go to Yale or East Coast, get out there, go get it. But at the same time, always represent the Harbor area and always represent Woodmas to the fullest. That's all I want to say. Game over.
Game over. He said it best. That's what I'm talking about. You got any more shout-outs? Anything you want to talk about?
I just want to say thank you for having me on. It's an honor, and I know it was a time coming. And thank you. You know, got a little podcast area and stuff. Yeah. And I just want to give a shout-outs to all the Harbor area people. Shout-outs to all the Woodmas people, Long Beach, all the hardcore listeners. I have a lot list, but, you know, I'm just going to keep it, you know, just for a minimum. To my kids, Gavin, Alex, Emiliano, my daughter, Luna, Daddy loves you. And I'm just going to do whatever I can to make the podcast get out there. And hopefully, if Joe Rogan, if you're hearing this, one day I will be a guest on your podcast, and I don't give a care about the critics, haters to say you're never going to make it. One day I'm going to outprove all those motherfuckers wrong. And I just want my story to be told on the Joe Rogan's podcast or any other podcast. But you know what? Right now, my show and who I'm talking to is right here. And follow my boy, Little Faded, man, right here. Follow his podcast, everyone. And I just want to say this. God bless Woodmas.
You said it best. God bless Woodmas. And, you know, thank you for pulling up. And
yeah.
Hope you do get that podcast with Joe Rogan.
I'm ready. I'm telling you, I'm ready. I had a dream before we end it. I had a dream my dream was like, you know, at the time I was with someone, and he's like, you know, you're gonna be a guest on the Joe Rogan's podcast. And I remember this happened in the year 25 or 2026, and in my dream it felt like reality. Joe Rogan said, "Hey, Megaman, I heard good stories about you. I heard good following." And I don't know what, but I feel because of that, that's one of the reasons why I'm getting out there and fulfilling my dream. So hopefully I can make so much noise to the point Joe Rogan's going to be like, I want to get this guy on. I want to get him on. Hey, I'm going to invite you over here to Austin, Texas. I want you to be a guest on the JRE. That is my ultimate goal. But people always say, okay, Megaman, if you're going to be a guest on JRE, what's after that? There's endless of other podcasts that want me on, or I can have them on and stuff like that. Joey Cocadilla's, Fighter and the Kid, you, Rhodium, American Cholo. The sky's the limit.
Exactly, and I'm pretty sure you are.
I'll get it.
I feel like you can.
I get it. I'll get it. I'll get it.
I can't wait to see the episode.
I'll get it. And I'll see in the end, and JRE, God bless Woodmas!
Thank you for pulling out.
Hell yeah, man.
You, and hopefully you come again.
Dude, we have a good connection, good flow. This won't be the last, you know. And
definitely.
And also, I'm gonna get my boy Little Fade on the podcast somewhere in late April. Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait. And everyone, you can follow me at the Megaman's Podcast, my personal Megaman6980. And, you know, and the Twitter, Megaman's Podcast. And I'll get all the social media ready later this year. Merch is coming. And good people to come on the Megaman's Podcast. I'm telling you, do not sleep on the podcast. Please rate and review. And also subscribe to his YouTube channel, Little Faded, everyone.
There you go, your boy Little Faded, the Megaman Podcast. And we out.